Racists are going crazy at Afghanistan's new burqa laws. Now, it's perfectly possible for someone to criticize the Afghani government, or any other government for that matter, without being a gigantic flaming racist. But sadly, that doesn't appear to apply to most of the people I've seen carrying out public displays of lamentation in the last 24 hours. The kicker is, most of these people are genuinely blind to their racist dehumanization and othering of Afghans. Now, if you're genuinely against any norms or customs or laws for public decency equally, then fair enough. I can't accuse you of being racist. I just must have missed your regular condemnation of the litany of public decency laws we have in Western countries, which is totally possible, since admittedly my knowledge of the political activism of committed nudists isn't as up to date as it could be. But if you don't have a problem with laws banning women walking topless down your high street, but you are crying out about Afghan women having to cover their faces in public, your actual issue is not forcing people to cover in public or not. We do that here. Your issue is, how dare anyone else have a different set of norms regarding what should be covered in public compared to ours? Secularism isn't neutral, it's just blind to its own religiosity and dogmas. To use a fancy term, your problem is perhaps with Afghan or Muslim or Asian or African subjectivity, i.e. those non-white, non-Western folks having their own standards and yardsticks for decent, indecent, appropriate, inappropriate, beauty, ugliness, normal, abnormal, etc. That's not even to mention the huge double standards of discourses we've seen about women suffering in the West. Do they report that women and girls in France, for example, are not allowed to go to school or work in the public sector? That's not how hijab bans are framed now, are they? Speaking of which, those trying to draw an equivalence of hijab bans and forced hijabs from a liberal standpoint should be wary. Compelling someone to cover in public, which every society already does, is not comparable to shamefully compelling someone to undress. Anyway, for the record, I'm not a fan of local Afghani dress customs, but I find gold chains with tracksuits odd too. I'm not an Afghan. You're probably not an Afghan either. They as a society have their own norms and customs of dress, and public decency is way up on the list of values. I remember my male cousin telling me how he got told off there once for wearing long shorts on holiday he went to back in the day. Anyway, does it mean we can't criticize policy we disagree with? No. But don't jump on the racist bandwagon, thinly veiled with a women's rights sticker. They don't give a damn about Afghan women. The thing that vexes me most about these mainstream outlets and women's rights warriors that popped up is that they've largely been silent over more urgent women's rights issues, like the right of a woman not to starve to death or be denied penicillin due to US sanctions. Where the hell have you been? Afghanistan is on the brink of the largest man-made humanitarian disaster in history because of US-led sanctions designed to cause starvation and deaths of civilians to exert pressure on their government. The Biden administration froze billions of dollars of Afghanistan's foreign currency reserves, equivalent to 40% of their bloody GDP. Experts have been crying out that more Afghans are poised to die from US sanctions over the next few months than have been killed by the Taliban and the US military over the last 20 years combined. In the first quarter of this year alone, more than 13,000 newborn babies died, and they reportedly have the highest rate of mothers dying during childbirth. Where the hell have the women's rights champions been? The reason why I'm condemning these morose, moralityless scoundrels is because when you take away all the waffle, it boils down to this simple fact. They are more outraged at Afghani women not being allowed to dress up like them than they are with them starving to death or dying from the lack of simple medical supplies. These sanctions, as diplomat Rory Stewart put it, are not for some higher purpose, but simply because the West feels humiliated, bitter and defeated. So in summary, you're not a flaming racist if you're speaking out against the Taliban dress code, if you're a principal nudist, in which case enjoy the weather, make sure you put lots of sunscreen on, or if you've been more vociferous in condemning the murderous Western policies killing Afghani women compared to your condemnation of the burqa. But for everyone else, here's a tiny little violin playing a sad song for all those so upset that Afghani women won't be as tanned as them while they're waiting around to be exterminated by Western sanctions. Meanwhile, we're going to save our tears and our efforts for putting out the flames that have engulfed the world due to oppressive Western policies and deadly hubris. May Allah make the affairs of Afghanistan and all the Ummah and all the world better and good for men and women and all of those suffering. Ameen.